Okay, episode 1 of the Orville New Horizons after this. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and we have been looking forward to the Orville coming back for the longest time. They were delayed by the COVID epidemic, and in fact, half of this year's season was delayed because of an outbreak of COVID on the set. And so they say there's a good year between the first two and the last first 5 and second 5 episodes of the series so far. So this is almost treated like a new series, but it's really kind of like season 3, because what we have here is the fallout from the war with the Kalons. Now, we find that Isaac, who we always thought was on our side, actually was with the Kalons to a certain extent, and then at the last minute, as you recall, turned and saved the ship. Because of that, and because that he knows more about how to deal with the Kalons, knows their tactics and things like this, Mercer wants Isaac to stay on the ship. But the rest of the ship doesn't very much agree with him. Even some of the senior officers are very much of a mind that he should not have been let back on the ship. In fact, he should have been deactivated altogether. And for his part, of course, Isaac acts as if it doesn't bother him at all. He continues to do his job, and while he notices that when he comes into the mess hall, people all get up and leave, he finds it as an opportunity to study the human condition in a way that he's never seen before, which is hate. And this is something that disturbs the captain, and he is trying to figure out what he can do about it. And we introduce a new ensign who we call Charlie. Charlie is talented in mathematic vectors, and we prove that by a new shuttle that looks like a fighter plane that she is able to put through the test, and we won't go into any more detail than that in case you haven't seen the show so far. But at any rate, she is very talented, but at the same time, her family was killed by the Kalons, and she does not think that Isaac should be on the ship, and has been very vocal about it, and has been downright unwilling to do anything to help with that situation. And we find that her special mathematical ability becomes an important point in vis-a-vis Isaac. So this is what the plot is basically as we go. Now, a couple of things about the Orville that we've noticed before. They had a lot of dated references previously, where they would make reference to current movies and things like that obviously in the 24th century or wherever they're supposed to be, that would be ancient stuff. It would be like us talking about Chaucer. But be that as it may, there wasn't much of that in this episode, and there weren't very many jokes in this episode. Although it was lighthearted in some places, it was very serious. We see Yaphet, who, of course, was played by Norm Macdonald. This was all filmed, of course, before his untimely death, and this will be the last season that we'll see Norm Macdonald as Yaphet. And he's used with some interest in how he's able to get places that others cannot. We see a giant space dock with many ships in it. This is something we haven't seen in Star Trek before, as there's always only one ship in the space dock. This one had several of them, because obviously there was a big battle in the previous season, and there were a lot of ships that were in need of repair. So much of the episode goes along while the Orville is being refit under Lamar's supervision. And it's all very realistic. we know that in the Orville they use real models rather than CG, like most of the other sci-fi shows do these days. It's just a whole lot easier to create a ship out of CG than to worry about actually building a model. This was a way that was done through the Next Generation. By the time that they got to Star Trek Discovery, that was a CG ship. But the Orville is actually a practical model. It's huge, but it's a practical model, and a lot of detail in it. And I would suspect that most of the other things that we saw here were done practically rather than with CG. Although there, of course, is plenty of CG in there. We find Mercer as being a stern but compassionate captain. We find that he is very concerned about the discord on the ship, but unlike the Star Trek canon and Gene Roddenberry's order that crew members always get along, that doesn't have to happen on the Orville, and it makes a much more realistic presentation as we do. So I think that while they tried to do a lot in a single episode, I think that it very much reestablished the show, and I think that it's better than ever. I'd like to know what you think about that. While you, if you've subscribed and rung the bell, why not make some comments as well below so that you can let us know what you think of the Orville New Horizons and this new longer form program structure. It actually went about an hour and 10 minutes rather than the usual 40 minutes that network programs do. And they used every frame of the film for something interesting to look at. We noted the redesign of the bridge and of engineering and some other details here and there which are all for the better. And the acting was solid. These people know their characters by now. And we have got quite a bit of enjoyment watching the whole thing. So I'd like to know what you think. Please put it below. And in the meantime, till next time, don't go far.